And I'm joined here today by Kyle Nell, the Executive Director of the Lowe's Innovation Lab. I think this is your first C2 Montreal experience. How do you find the experience so far?
It sure is. It's actually much different than I thought it was going to be in a good way. You know, usually you come to conferences and there's the same kind of crowd. This is a very different kind of crowd in a good way. And everyone's oriented towards not just learning, but to action, to doing something about it. Imagine if there was a place where you could take the objects and the ideas in your head and make them real. There is a place like that. Welcome to the Holoroom. For us, VR and AR is not a means in and of itself. It should be better than something that already exists. So right now, visualization when you come inside of a store is what? A kitchen vignette. You walk up to it, everyone for whatever reason tries to turn on the water, they know the water won't work, but they still do that, right? It's not a great experience, but it's the best that we have right now, right? So VR and AR has to be better than that. It's a visualization tool, at least for that piece, has to be better than that. And so we actually developed a whole new system. It's called Applied Neuroscience. It's a separate company named Neurons Inc. We were just here doing a masterclass on that. We use applied neuroscience where people wear high-res EEG headsets and eye-tracking goggles to understand diagnostically the entire experience, both from an in-store vignette experience, and then we compare that also to VR and AR experiences. So we not only were saying this is a great VR experience, who cares? It's got to be better than that other thing by a multiple. And so we're able to predict not only that, but the behavior attached to that, because we have the largest longitudinal database in VR and AR, because we've worked with everybody from HoloLens to Google to everything in between. And we know how it will work in the real world, at least we have an idea. So from that, we're able to say, yes, VR and AR in general is way better than the standard right now, the vignette. But it's not perfect. Within that is a large range, and that's why we've really invested a lot in Google Tango, because we've seen from the applied neuroscience that that is the thing right now that's ready to just couple to a field and take off. And that's why we're all into it. Not just because we feel it, but because we quantifiably can see it and predict its outcome.
What brought about the idea of creating the Innovation Lab?
You know, if you look at the retail landscape, it's just rife with, you know, retail is doomed, it's ending, and brands that I loved when I was a kid don't even exist anymore. And I think everyone has that experience. So we're really in the middle of this exponentiality that is either going to be a very good thing for those that take advantage of it or a very bad thing for those that don't. And we have all those cautionary tales. And so most organizations, not just retail, but in general, their reaction is, oh, we need an innovation lab. The problem with that is that doesn't really do anything unless it's tied to something important. So I'm not a tech person, I'm actually a behavioral scientist. So I think one of the reasons if our stuff is working at all, it's because it's tied to a behavioral science focus that has a technological possible outcome, but it's not tech first, oh, and then we'll figure out how to cram it in later. It's already agreed upon on these future narratives, and then we work backwards. And so that's why we're doing this thing. We know we need a change. But it's not just to stay relevant, it's to take advantage of this exponential future that we're in, rather than just kind of wringing our hands and waiting for something bad to happen.
Are there any solutions that have come about from the folks in the Innovation Lab?
Most definitely. So I would say the best innovation is actually something we call narrative-driven innovation. It's not a very good name, but it's a whole process. We hire professional published science fiction writers. We give them all of our marketing research and trend data, and then we send them out in different directions, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and then give them a primary location where the story takes place. So then they come up with the actual convergence of people and tech trends and a possible probable scenario. Then we turn those real stories, short stories, into comic books, and literally pass them out to our senior executives, our CEO and his direct staff, and we read comic books as a team. And then we discuss the future, not the now, the future, and what they believe and don't believe, and then they tell us to go build it. That's how we've gotten all the biggest, largest virtual and augmented mixed reality systems of any retailer, autonomous robots, exosuits, stores in space. All of those things came about because of narrative, a system that automatically ties people to a purpose, and then we work backwards to make it happen. And for all of the great stuff that we've done that I just listed, I think the narrative process, which is not just a comic book, it's the behavioral economics and innovation tied to that actually makes the company move in the right way. That's the really cool thing. But it's very hard to show. You can see symptoms of it, but you can't show the actual core of it. But that's something I'm most proud of.